Join me today as I take you through how I paint my 172 scale British Infantry for D-Day. This tutorial was created to commemorate the 80th anniversary of D-Day, and I really did spend a lot of time thinking about the sacrifices these men made to give us our freedoms today. Let me know below how you found this video and if you'll be grabbing yourself a set of 20mm AB British figures. Today we are going to be painting up some World War II 20mm AB figures British Infantry. I'm going to be painting these up to commemorate the 80th anniversary of D-Day. So they're going to be in their typical late war British uniform, and for this I decided to go with the street fighting option because I just love the dynamic poses, but these are probably more suited for Italy. So once you get your models, whatever you decide to go with, I'm going to give it a primer of surface primer light grey, and then I'm going to give the uniform its base coat of English uniform. So it's in the title of the Vallejo paint. It is that straightforward. You can go with other sorts of similar colours if you wish, but I just thought English uniform sounds good, and I think it looks pretty good as well, so it matches relatively nicely. Now I do apologise for the very light black line that keeps going between the shot. I had the shutter speed set incorrectly on my camera for this particular video and the previous one, but I've hopefully fixed that for the next line of videos. So the webbing is painted with Russian uniform World War II, which is just like a very nice green colour, which is going to be absolutely perfect for your sort of British webbing for this period of the war. Now British webbing normally includes a backpack, sort of like a holster for your entrenching tool, as well as other items if they were an officer, as well as their Bren pouches, as well as their gaiters, etc. So just bear that in mind, that there might be a bit to paint, but this guy doesn't have much of that, fortunately. And then for the medal I use a black grey, so he's got a Sten gun, and I must admit Sten guns are probably one of my favourite British weapons other than the Bren gun. I mean, you really can't beat the Bren gun. I've already named two weapons. They didn't really have much variety in their arsenal, but yeah, I am partial to a good Sten gun, and I fired it in Vegas as well, and I thought it was a fantastic gun to fire. Then for the helmet I use US dark green, so any sort of dark green will do the job nicely. Just bear in mind that some of these models, especially with AB figures, they might have scrim as well as netting, so you don't want to put on a heavy layer of paint. If you put on a heavy layer of paint, you're going to hide that scrim as well as the netting, and it's going to be hard to really make those details pop. So just give it a really light coat, sometimes just give it a second coat if you've gone really lightly. And then for the scrim I use old wood. Now this video isn't full of different things that I need to paint, so it's going to be a very quick video, but the purpose of this video is really more to focus on the uniform and the webbing, because if you're a long-time viewer of the channel, or even if you're new, you can see that I've got plenty of other videos that will answer your other questions in regards to some of the stuff that might have been missed out. And then I go with null oil and technical medium at a 1:1 ratio, so I pre-mix it myself, just literally a 50-50 ratio. It is somewhere between a black wash and a black glaze, so the wash goes into the recesses nicely, but it doesn't make the rest of the uniform look super dark, so it makes it a really good tool to give it a nice wash with. So I highly recommend following this if you've got the ability to do so. Then we go over with the base color. So this whole process is pretty much identical to what we did before, except we're leaving that really dark original base color down after it's been washed in the recesses. So you're painting the majority of the figure as it was, and then just leaving the rest of the darker areas untouched. Then to highlight the uniform, we use English uniform and khaki grey at a 1:1 ratio. Now this is where you can start having a bit more fun. You start picking out the creases a bit more, especially the sharper edges of the creases. You can start picking out where the knee might start bulging from the trousers. Same with like elbows, the collar, and little bits like you can see I'm like scratching in the detail. I love to scratch. You gotta make sure you're scratching with your brush. You don't want to put a big blob of paint down because it's really hard to work with. And then the very final highlight is khaki grey. Now if you don't want to do this step, by all means you can leave it, and it's going to be noticeable but not as noticeable, so you definitely get away with it on the tabletop and it will look just as good. But this just really takes it to the next level, and if you've got a spare few minutes, it's really worth doing, because all I'm doing is picking out very small details here and just putting in little bits of this highlight color, because it just helps accentuate the details that I want to really make pop. Now the principle for the webbing remains exactly the same as what we did with the uniform. So we're going back over it with Russian uniform World War II and just leaving that really dark base color in the bits of the webbing that are obviously bent, or in the recesses, I should say. So I'm starting to build detail in this bag, for example. I'm really just starting to pick out the detail, but painting the majority of it. And then when we go to the next layering color, that's when I'm going to start making sure that the brighter color starts really making this bit pop. So I use Russian uniform and German grey at a 2:1 ratio for this. So you can see I'm painting the outer edges of this strap of his bag now. And I'm just slowly scratching it in. It's always good to just take your time. Now there's little lines here where the bits of the bag connect with the strap. I'm just going to give those a bit of paint. I'm going to paint a little bit of the side of the bag just to show that, you know, it's got some equipment in there. Then I start painting the straps that are on the bag that keep the two parts held in together and secure. And that's the sort of thing you want to do. And then you just repeat the process with Russian uniform and German grey at a 1:1 ratio. So now we're getting quite bright. So I'm reducing the amount of this I'm actually putting on. So I'm really just trying to pick out some areas that are going to stick out a bit more and give them a bit of a brighter color. So those like strap bits there, the very outer edges of the bag, and surround some other details that really do pop already without having to put paint on. If you can see them and you think, oh wow, that's a detail that needs to be captured, that's normally a really good color, or a really good option for your highlight color. Then for the helmet, I do a dry brush of German camo beige World War II. Now I use an older brush for this and just slowly build it in. You want to slowly capture that in. If you put too much paint on, or you haven't dried the paint off or got rid of the excess paint, you're going to have a blob of this beige colour, so you don't want to do that. You just take your time. Then for the scrim, I'm using old wood, so this is just literally painting it back on again, leaving little, when I say paint, actually I more do like dots and try and break up like scrim would be. So this is just bits of fabric that have been put onto the helmet, especially because it's got helmet netting, and it just helps to potentially camouflage the person's head and their helmet. And then I use Iraqi sand, and I use this very lightly, and I normally water it down a touch as well, and I just add in little dots and a few little lines here and there. The two complement each other really nicely if used correctly. If you use too much Iraqi sand, it makes it look unrealistic. And then for the medal and boots, I go back over it with black grey. Now with weapons, after I do this, I normally give it a black grey and basalt grey highlight, which you'll probably see anyway. And then I used to give it a dry brush of silver, but I've really gone off that now. I'm starting to just leave it as the black grey and basalt grey as the final highlight, and I don't even touch the shoe. So you're going to see that now. So it's the black grey and basalt grey as the final highlight for the Sten gun. Now if you want to see how I painted faces, or how I paint flesh, I've got a video out there for that you'll be able to find. It was a recent video, so you shouldn't have to scroll too far, as well as if you're interested in other stuff, how I paint wood, etc. Just go and have a look at another 20mm painting tutorial that I've got plenty of them, and you'll definitely see them there. And then here we go. So these are the finished free models. So I didn't get to paint any more, which is really frustrating. I wanted to paint more of these, but these were just a quick slap together job that I wanted to put out there to commemorate the 80th anniversary of D-Day. So let me know below how you found this video, if you're going to be implementing some of these painting methods, and if you agree with the paints used today. Huge thank you goes out to Nick at AB Figures for providing me with these models and for continuing to be such a great supporter of the channel, as well as my YouTube channel members and patrons. You guys are absolutely awesome. I really do appreciate it. If you want to join their ranks, please do. You can join it for as little as $1 and you'll get tons of benefits, including paint lists, as well as entries into giveaways, etc. But other than that, guys, I'm going to leave it here and I will catch you at the next one. Thanks.